So, over the past couple of years, I've had some real interesting thoughts. And one was around my mental health, but in a more spiritual way. So, a couple of years ago, I was in a job with a well-respected company, and I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. I felt a bit hollow in the work, and I felt a bit drained, a bit drained. And within that time, I realized something. So I realized that you have an identity which is associated to your work, but that identity is not necessarily you. So what do I mean by this? Think about it this way. You have certain values, you have certain things that you would never give up in this world, even for a job. Even if it meant you having to leave this earth, you would not give up these values. So the one thing that I have had to come to terms with is, yes, it sucks being out of a job. Yes, it sucks not having the ability to serve people. But the one thing that I've noticed is that we need to redefine the word job. Because job at the moment is seen as you go into an office, you go into a workplace, and you do whatever it is that you need to do. I say take a different approach. I say, what is the value that you bring to the work? And that's the one thing that I came to the conclusion of. But when we say value, I'm not talking about, oh, you know, talking to your buddies and stuff like this. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you as a person. Do you prefer having open-ended conversations with people? Do you prefer a certain type of work that may be engineering, people-focused, right? Do you have a particular style of communication? For example, I know, for example, with myself, I display traits of autism, but at the same time, I don't mind talking to other people, right? Because in certain situations, I can get very engrossed inside of the topic, be it self-improvement, engineering, or other, right? Like project management or networking. So in that time where you're out of work, the one thing that I would suggest to people who are in this situation is explore more, right? We have government programs, right, whereby you can get things for free now. Some of the degrees are not even worth anything anymore, right? I had one the other day, €239 for a triple degree, and I thought to myself, is this even worth it? Self-improvement, right? Meditation, going to the gym. But the one thing that threw me a little bit, that really threw me, was the need for money. And still to this day, I have a little bit of fear around that. A little bit of fear. Why? Because the source of income that I initially had been taken away from me. And going through that journey made me think of one thing. And it made me say to myself, I'm not good enough. That's what it made me think. It made me think, I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough for this. Is God listening to me? And in many ways, that still applies now. There's still a lot of pain around it. But for somebody who's in my situation, or worse, right? I had one of my friends today, he was talking to me and he said, oh, I've been charged with a speeding ticket, right? And now I'm going to be locked up in prison. And my heart sank because I was like, I've helped you out, dude. I've done what I can, but if I keep trying to bail you out and all this kind of stuff, right? Because he's asking for a bailout, I'm like, you're not going to learn the lesson. You're not going to learn the lesson. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, caring for people is generally something that I like doing, but I think there are certain limits and boundaries that have to be put into place. Because if you don't, people are going to take advantage. And that's another thing about work that we need to talk about. People taking advantage of you is not in my vocabulary, is not in my value system. So a lot of people would say the same thing. If that is the case, then it's probably best not to be in that environment. Okay? So how do you get around it? Well, by exploration. We take different courses in different fields. We understand how to link those different fields to what we know. We don't necessarily need to go back to the same field that we were in, be it technical or other, but we can explore what is it within us that makes us unique to be placed inside of a different role. For example, I looked at TEFL, for example. I looked at project management. I looked at networking. And the one that made me, a little bit more comfortable was networking, right? But that's only because I've been through it before. Project management, for example, is something which I find very interesting because you have to manage a team. You have to understand how people think. How does it work from the business level? How does it work at the engineer level? How does it work with the scrum masters? How does it work with the product owner? How does it work with developers? All that kind of thing to understand, okay, well, these are the kind of different layers which happen within an engineering company, technology-wise. And by opening up to these experiences, even when talking with people, we begin to understand the value of the transformation that we're going through to help us understand who we are. And I hate this rhetoric of, oh, keep going, keep going. Yes, you have to keep going. Of course you do. Of course. But don't forget who you are as a human. Don't forget your confidence. Don't forget all that other stuff, right? And it's so hard and so frustrating to be confident in that situation. Trust me. I'm still in it. I haven't even come out of it. I'm still in it. I'm telling you this. Right? But the one thing that I keep telling myself is don't worry about the money. Don't worry about the money. The money's already there. It's already in my hands. It just hasn't come yet. Right? Keep understanding who you are, what your value is, and trust that process. Why? Because in the Sanatan Dharmas, if you look at religion, if you look at Sanatan Dharma, if you look at Hinduism, right? One thing in the Sanatan Dharma that caught my eye was a parable similar to what I'm saying now. And it basically says that the person who's having fun on the court will always beat the person who's forced on it. Think about that. The person who is having fun on the court will always beat the person who is forced upon the court. What does that mean? Find the area which you have the most fun. That's what it means. In terms of career, that's what it is. Why? Most people say, oh, this is find your passion. Yes, but find your passion where you can grow, where you can challenge yourself a little bit. That's the thing they miss. Right? Because why, like they say, oh, but there might not be any money in my passion. What did you do it for then? Did you do it for the money? Or did you do it because you're passionate about it? If you're passionate about it, the money will come. And that's the thing that I hate the most about some of these self-improvement YouTubers. They say stuff like, oh, don't follow your passion. Well, why? Sorry, it's my passion, not your passion. What do you know about my passion? Are you in my space? Are you in my field? No. Okay, then shut your mouth. It's as simple as that. Yeah? Please get into that kind of frame of mind. Because that is what's going to give you confidence to say, actually, I can do this thing. Actually, this is where I belong. Actually, this is what makes me tick. This is me. And that's the thing that I'm going through. That's the part that I'm trying to get to at this point in time. This is the part that, sometimes, they say, oh yeah, find your kahunas and basically say, oh, okay, grab them for me and then, scream, that sort of stuff, right? And that's the thing that if you end up that position, I get it. It sucks. I absolutely agree. It sucks, right? But find the thing that makes you tick, so that way when you get into that position, be it a business or a job, whatever it is, right? You think to yourself, one of two possibilities, right? I really love this and I could do it for the rest of my life. Or better yet, I really like what I'm doing here, right? And I would be okay doing this no matter what happens. And that, I think, will be shown in different measures. Because think about it. Think about the people that you work with, right? How many of them are hunchback? They're like, they don't want to be there. Like, and I thought about it, like, why would you be in an organization where the people don't even want to be there? How does that even work? Like, And I've been in that situation. You go in there and it's like, oh, okay, now I need to get up. Like, oh, this guy's going to be on my case again. Oh, okay, cool. Like, fine. Oh, okay, cool. But, I need my dollars, bro. It just doesn't work, man. It just doesn't work. And I feel bad saying it. I feel disgusted saying that. But the reality is exactly that, right? Like, some people say, oh, but I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if you don't. Kind of. But at one point in your life, you are really, really happy doing something. And whatever that thing was, is the thing you should probably do. Like, so for me, for example, it's probably networking, it's probably project management, it's something around that level. Why? Because that's where I feel most at home. That's where I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I could do this, for 2 hours straight, not really get bored. I know what I'm doing. I'm happy. Maybe it's a skill issue. Maybe it's just like, okay, cool. Go and learn a different skill. Maybe. But you're not going to know if you don't explore. And that's the first part. It's like explore. Explore the possibilities, right? And then people say, oh, but you should be doing that in your 20s, and you should be doing that in your 30s, and you should be doing that. You should be doing that in your 20s. Shut up. I want to say to those people, shut up. Why? Because you may need to rebuild your life at 30. You may need to rebuild your life at 40. You may not get a job at 50 or 60. That's the truth. But at the end of the day, if you don't find that thing that lights you up in those years, what was it all for? What on earth was doing all of that stuff for? Right? And that's what I want that's my message to the world right now. Right? Think about it from that perspective. Because at some point in your life, you may have to go through it again. You may have to do it for the kids. You may have to do it for that sick person that you really care for. The pressure is real, right? I feel it every day. But explore, man. Explore. If even with me, I just say explore. Just keep exploring. Don't worry about the money. Just keep exploring. Keep finding that thing. Keep going on at it. Because something's gonna blossom out of it. Something has to, right? A seed in the ground, right? Under all that muck, right? Takes time to grow. Sometimes it's 5 years. Look at bamboo shoots. Bamboo shoots is 5 years in the ground. It can take up to 5 years. And then suddenly they just come out of nowhere, right? So when you're in that situation, the one thing that keeps me going is think of yourself as a seed. Right? That seed needs times to grow. It's in the ground. It needs water. It needs sunlight. Right? That environment affects it. And that's where the principle of you are the result of the 5 people you hang around with comes from. Because you're like a seed in that system, right? You're like the tree amongst other trees. Right? You get the knowledge, you get the nutrients, you get the minerals from the soil, and it comes up and it nourishes you. And that is really important, right? I know, right? You go into the office, you don't care what that person's doing on a Sunday, what was doing on Sunday when you come in the office on Monday, right? Unless they're the really good friends of yours, right? Because that's real life. It's not corporate. This is real life, yeah? And this is what I mean, like, if you enjoy going flying, right? If you prefer doing your PPL, go do your PPL. Become a private pilot. Do all that kind of stuff, right? And that's what I mean, man. Like, I think sometimes in life we misinterpret the biggest blessing. The blessing to be at the bottom with nothing and no one. Because the one thing that, I have fear with, but it's like that really weird fear, but it's mixed in with a little bit of excitement, is you're free. You're not plugged into this matriarchy. You're not plugged into somebody behind me, right? You've got no boss. You've got nothing. You got nothing. You have nothing to lose, and everything to gain. Everything. So fucking go for the gold, man. Fucking go for that win. Fucking smash the shit. Be who you're meant to be, bruv. Right? Maybe you got that unk that needs you as well, man. Right? Maybe you got the kids. But fucking do the shit, man. Be that person. That's fucking awesome. You come into that room, everybody lights their shit up, man. They lose their shit over you. Man, how better does that feel? That version of you standing there on that fucking mountain and they look at you and they think to yourself, whoo-wee, this guy went through some shit to get here. But he's still standing. He's still standing. That's the vision. That's the goal. That, right? That thing that fires you up is what it's about. Right? The guy who plays on the court for fun is the guy that gets the most work done. So explore, man. Explore. Keep exploring. Because one day you'll find something that just clicks, and you will, and that's the thing, right? Your heart slows down. Your mind goes clear. Right? Your eyes can see. And then you just think, I'm at peace. I get this. I know where I am. Right? And that's the flow state. That's the thing. So if you don't take away anything from this video, take that away. Alright, man. I'll catch you again soon. Keep going. You got this.